At face value, the trade for Matthew Tkachuk is the most awful trade you have ever seen in your entire life, below an F- grade. But when you break it down, the trade itself was actually a pretty solid deal for the Florida Panthers, and obviously an incredible deal for the Flames. What Florida did afterwards, though, is what put them in a real hole. I'll try and make this video quick. Last night, Matthew Tkachuk was traded to the Florida Panthers, along with a 4th-round pick. In return, the Calgary Flames received Jonathon, Huberdeau, Mackenzie, Weeger, Schwindt, and a 1st-round pick. And when you look at it, it looks like one of those trades you can make on NHL when you're in GM mode on easy. But when you hear that Huberdeau and Weeger are both going to be UFAs at the end of next year, knowing that both are going to want massive contracts even though they are 100% worth it, working with the cap space that the Florida Panthers had, this is more of just an early move. In the event that something drastic may happen to one of them and they're unable to move them at the deadline. We obviously know how good these guys are. Mackenzie Weeger was a top 20 defenseman this year, and Jonathon Huberdeau literally had 115 points. Could they have gotten more for this guy? Absolutely. But when a player like Matthew Tkachuk, coming off a 104-point season, falls in your lap as trade bait, this isn't a horrible idea. Now, yes, I think they personally should have done Huberdeau and Mackenzie Weeger, or Huberdeau in a 1st, or Weeger in a 1st, and maybe throw in another pick, and save either Huberdeau or Weeger, potentially shipping them off somewhere else, or package both of them and save the 1st. I think it was definitely an overpay, but honestly not as much of an overpay as many are looking at it as. Don't get me wrong, still really bad giving up all 3 of those, but it definitely could have been worse. They could have given up Barkov. Now, although many believe that Huberdeau is better than Barkov just signed a long contract with the Florida Panthers, so that would be a horrible move for them. So here is where the Florida Panthers messed up horribly. At least in my opinion, I think they messed up horribly when they signed Matthew Tkachuk right afterwards to a $9.5 million contract for the next 8 years. He's already, in my opinion, very risky since he was playing with Johnny Gaudreau, and you just got rid of a playmaker like Johnny Gaudreau. He's phenomenal, but he should not be getting paid more than Leon Draisaitl, Brad Marchand, David Pastrnak, Sidney Crosby, and Patrick Kane. And there's not a single place in the universe where he is supposed to be getting 0.5 more than Cale Makar. The other thing is, now he takes up 11.5% of the cap space for the next 8 years. And they now have 44.8% cap space wrapped up in 4 players: Tkachuk, Barkov, Ekblad, and Bobrovsky. And they are still $3.3 million under the cap space now. And with 43 contracts, only 4 of those players taking up 44.8% of it, it's going to be very difficult to clear cap space unless you give up a lot with all those small contracts. But Flames fans, this is why you guys have an absolute dub on your hands right here. I'm running through the numbers real quick, so listen up. The Flames currently have $9.3 million in cap space, and with Lucic's $5.2 million contract expiring next year, along with Huberdeau and Weeger, they will have $23.6 million in cap space, and with other smaller contracts expiring as well, they'll have $27.9 million to work with either in free agency next year or in the trade deadline. And with an absurdly good free agent pool next year, which includes McKinnon, Pastrnak, Kane, Larkin, O'Reilly, Tarasenko, Meyer, Pavelski, Horvat, Dumba, Weeger, and Huberdeau as well, they can make a god squad next year. So just stay patient, Flames fans. Play your cards right, your time is coming soon.